Hello guys, if you enjoy my videos, please give a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. In this video, we're going to talk about the 2006 film She's the Man. High school student Viola Hastings is passionate about soccer and aspires to participate in a professional match. However, her women's team gets excluded from the main roster. Deprived of her favorite hobby, Viola heads home. On her way, she encounters Monique, her brother Sebastian's girlfriend, who mistakes Viola for him. The thing is, Viola and Sebastian are twins and bear a striking resemblance to each other. Monique informs Viola that Sebastian has been avoiding her and asks Viola to relay the message that she's waiting for his call. At home, Viola meets her mother and informs her that there won't be any more soccer practice. Her mother isn't upset upon hearing this news, as she never shared her daughter's interests, and wants to raise her as a proper lady, believing that ladies don't play soccer. Viola's mother shows her a dress she bought for the prom, but Viola dislikes it and refuses to wear it. Viola goes upstairs and finds her brother there. Sebastian is packing his belongings and throwing them out the window onto the street. He was recently expelled from school, and although their parents arranged for him to attend a new school, he has no intention of going there. Sebastian is a musician who writes songs and performs with his band, which led to his expulsion from the previous school. But he hasn't learned from his mistakes and plans to skip school for 2 more weeks. He is heading to London, where he will be performing with his band. Sebastian asks his sister to cover for him and call the school pretending to be their parents, so he doesn't get expelled again for skipping classes. An idea pops into Viola's head to impersonate her brother and attend school in his place. She sees it as a good opportunity to make it into the soccer team, considering that the most important match in the district will take place exactly 2 weeks later. Viola visits her good friend and stylist Paul Antonio and asks him to transform her into Sebastian. Paul agrees, and with the help of a wig, fake braces, and eyebrows, he turns Viola into Sebastian. Viola tells her mom that she's going to stay with their father for 2 weeks. Since her parents are divorced, she and her brother alternate living with each parent weekly, and their parents don't communicate with each other. It's the perfect cover, and no one will bother her during those 2 weeks. Viola arrives at the new school and meets her roommates Duke, Toby, and Andrew. The guys are also passionate about soccer, so Viola joins them for the tryouts. After the selection, the team's coach, Coach Dinklage, puts Viola on the second team, which means she'll be a substitute and probably won't get any playing time. This doesn't please Viola, and she starts thinking about how to make it into the first team. Viola asks her roommates to help her improve during practice, but they distance themselves and avoid her because they think she's behaving strangely and not acting like a guy. It's not surprising since Viola finds it difficult to pass as a male. Her classmates start teasing her, and no one takes her seriously. Viola seeks help from Paul Antonio, who comes up with a little performance that will allow Viola to gain recognition among her peers. On her day off, Viola goes to a pizzeria where she meets her roommates. The guys try to ignore her again, but this time, actors sent by Paul enter the scene. The girls pretend to be Viola's ex-girlfriends and publicly show signs of affection towards her. Everyone realizes that Viola is no ordinary guy and is quite popular among the female population. The icing on the cake is the appearance of Monique. She enters the pizzeria and sees Viola disguised as Sebastian. Monique starts chasing Viola around the pizzeria to finally have a conversation about their relationship. Viola realizes that if Monique gets a close look at her face, she will recognize that it's not Sebastian. So Viola tries to avoid direct contact and eventually stages a scene where she breaks up with Monique. All these events increase Viola's authority in the eyes of her peers, and they start to respect her. Duke and the guys now willingly interact with her and help her during soccer practice. Viola's plan is finally starting to unfold. She gradually opens up to her new friends and learns from Duke that he has a crush on the school beauty, Olivia. Viola strikes a deal with Duke that she will try to convince Olivia to go on a date with him if he speaks up for her in front of Coach Dinklage. Duke agrees and starts assisting Viola with soccer. He teaches her new moves, and finally the coach begins to notice her enthusiasm and talent. However, ironically, Olivia falls in love with Viola. She discovers a snippet of Sebastian's poem and is amazed by the depth of his soul and the candidness of his work. Soon, Viola's mother invites her to a carnival where Duke, Monique, Olivia, and others will be present. Viola has to play two roles and constantly switch between being herself and impersonating Sebastian. Her mother asks her to stand in for Olivia in the kissing booth precisely when it's Duke's turn. A guy initially feels disappointed as he wanted to be kissed specifically by Olivia, but when he starts kissing Viola, there is chemistry between them and Viola falls in love with him. This creates a love triangle where Duke loves Olivia, Olivia loves Viola, and Viola loves Duke. It becomes increasingly difficult for Viola to hide her feelings for Duke. She starts showing him attention, but for Duke, she appears as Sebastian, and his attention towards her makes him feel awkward. After the carnival, Duke confesses that he liked Viola. She is thrilled by this and, posing as her own brother, encourages him to take the initiative. However, Duke is hesitant and doesn't dare to be the first one to call her. During practice, Viola gazes at Duke, but unexpectedly, Olivia approaches him, showing no prior interest in him. She invites Duke to dinner, and Viola becomes jealous. She pulls Olivia aside and tries to prove to her that Duke is not her soulmate and that they are completely different. However, Olivia already knows this. She just wanted Sebastian to start feeling jealous and finally become interested in her. Olivia invites Viola on a double date where she goes with Duke, and Viola brings her classmate, Yanis. The date quickly becomes awkward and absurd as Olivia tries to elicit jealousy from Sebastian, but it only makes Viola jealous, not of Olivia, but of Duke. Meanwhile, the real Sebastian decides to return a day early, and he informs Viola via voicemail, but she doesn't have time to read the message. Viola goes to the debutante ball where she meets Monique and Olivia. She looks at Olivia with hatred, and, ambushing her in the bathroom, she tries to find out her intentions towards Duke. Olivia confesses that she doesn't really like Duke, she just wanted to make Sebastian feel jealous because she loves him. Viola is greatly surprised and realizes the awkwardness of the situation, but then Monique bursts in, having overheard their conversation. She attacks Olivia, believing she stole Sebastian from her. A fight breaks out between the three girls, which is eventually stopped by the meeting's coordinator. Meanwhile, one of Sebastian's classmates, Malcolm, who is in love with Olivia, spies on Viola and tries to find some compromising information. He tries to convince the school principal that something is wrong with Sebastian, but the kind-hearted principal doesn't believe him. Overwhelmed by emotions after a short but intense date with Olivia, Duke decides to approach her, but at that moment, the real Sebastian arrives at the school. Olivia meets him and kisses him passionately. Duke watches this and believes that Viola betrayed him, used him to get into the soccer team, and then took his love, Olivia. Duke argues with Viola and accuses her of betrayal. He kicks her out of the room right before the game the next day. When he goes to bed, the real Sebastian enters the room and lies on his own bed. Viola spends the night with Yanis. Upon waking up, Duke notices Sebastian, but still angry at him, he decides not to wake him and heads to the match. Sebastian is woken up by Toby and Andrew. Confused, Sebastian doesn't understand why he's being called for the game, but he agrees and goes out onto the field. Meanwhile, Viola wakes up in Yanis' room and realizes that she overslept for the game. She runs to the locker room, but doesn't find her uniform there. When she enters the field, she notices Sebastian on the field and realizes that everything didn't go according to plan. The real Sebastian doesn't know how to play soccer at all. He's just getting in the way of his team. But then the principal, along with Malcolm, steps onto the field and asks for a moment of attention. The principal reveals that he and Malcolm uncovered the plot and publicly announces that Sebastian is actually Viola. Everyone starts laughing, but the principal persists. Sebastian proves his affiliation with the male gender, and the principal, along with Malcolm, says it was all a prank and leaves the field. The game continues, and the coach sends Sebastian to the bench for his poor performance. Viola meets him there and tells him that she was pretending all this time. She takes his uniform, changes into it, and asks the coach for a second chance. Coach Dinklage agrees and sends her back onto the field. However, Duke is still angry with her and doesn't let her play properly. so she tells him the whole truth about pretending to be her brother to join the soccer team. Duke processes this information and forgives Viola. They start playing together, and Viola scores the winning goal. In the end, Duke and Viola start dating, and the coach allows her to play on the team. That's the end of the movie. That's all for today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.